Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Parshas in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Look at the Sichos Chalak Aleph, Parshas Lech, Lecha. One second. Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Parshas in the morning. 15 minutes to change our life. Parshas Lech, Lecha. Look at the Sichos Chalak Aleph. So now we're going to learn a beautiful idea of Parshas Lech Lecha and what Lecha means from different perspectives. Let's see. Let's jump right in. Ois Aleph. Asar Nisyonis Nisnas Avraham Avinu. So Avraham Avinu had 10 tests. We all know, everyone grew up, or get taught this. There's 10 tests that Avraham Avinu had. One of the first, one of the great, probably one of the greatest, was who Nisayna Ukazdim, being thrown into the fire. And basically, he destroyed all the idols in his father's shop, and he got in trouble. And they said, basically, say that you were wrong, or we're chucking you into the fire. And he said, no, I'm not wrong, and chucked him into the fire. And he survived. He didn't think he was going to survive, but he had the Mesiras Nefesh that was needed. And this is one of the greatest tests. But nevertheless, in the Torah, it's not clearly stated this story. It's only hinted to. But the first story that's said in the Torah clearly is going from, like it says in the Pasuk, Lech Lecha, go for yourself, from your land, and from your birthplace, from the house of your father. And we're going to discuss what all this means spiritually in Avodas Hashem. So, but what we see here, that Lech Lecha is the first clear test and Avram gets. Seemingly, why is this the first one stated and not the Ur Kasdim? Because this idea of going out of your land, because that's something that's for all of us. And we can learn this out from above to below, from below to above, and also in below itself. Meaning like this, meaning the Rebbe is saying the reason why the story of Ur Kasdim is not brought down in the Torah is because there's nothing for us to learn from this. It's not a Hirai in Chayim. We can't live life that way, and therefore it's not brought down. Whereas Lech Lecha is for us. It's something we can learn and we can live with, and therefore the Torah is teaching to us. And therefore says we can learn out the idea of Lech Lecha, which is leaving from where you're from and going to a different place, that's a simple story, but there's 3 levels of it we can learn. We can learn from above to below, meaning, and like we're going to talk about, from the neshama in Shemayim coming down to this physical world. We can learn it out from us going out of this physical world or connecting to a spiritual world, and in this physical world itself, how we can, there's be within, stay above, and then there's in the world itself. Now, one way we can look at this sikh, as we're going to learn, and we're going to discuss like this, and I'll just give it like a preface. So I came back from, Tishrei finished, and you get the Cheshvan blues, meaning Tishrei is such an exciting time and all this good stuff is happening. It's like you come back to life, you do Mayim Rabim, and you have the challenges, and in your head it's like, I wish I was back in Tishrei. Tishrei was good, Tishrei was fun, Tishrei was spiritual, Tishrei was connected, Yitzhahara was weakened, everything was good. Now you come back Cheshvan, suddenly it's all difficult. And what we're going to learn in the Sikha, one of the many things we're going to learn, is that Tishrei is not reality. And that's not how to live life. There is a stage in life you have to have Tishrei, or you could say life is not meant to be in seminary. Life is not meant to be your whole life in seminary. Not whole life meant to be in Kolam. You have a time period, and that's an important part. That's Tishrei. You have a 1 month a year, but the rest of your life and most of your life is meant to be in this physical world. And what we're going to learn here is that leaving the comfort zone is the purpose. And really that's where you achieve the most, that's where you connect the most. You don't connect the most to the Eibishter, to Hashem on Tishrei, as much as you connect him more and more so in Cheshvan. And this is what we're going to learn. Let's see. Base. So let's understand the 3 levels of Lech Lecha in short. So first you have Yehudas and Neshama L'Guf. The Neshama comes down to a body. So in that concept we find 2 opposite ideas. On one hand, we say, Al Karchay, against your will you live, meaning in Shel Hechrech, meaning you're forced. The Neshama, when it's in Shemayim, it doesn't want to come down. It's having a good time. It's not like, hey, you have to leave this place. Or you could say, like when we're in seminary, or we're living a comfortable life, or in Tishrei, I don't want to leave Tishrei. I don't want to leave seminary. And the neshama says, I don't want to go down into the physical world and deal with my rabbim. I want to stay up here. Can neshama lifnei yiridasa b'chutzva mitachas kisei hakavod? Because the neshama, as it was before, came down, which was under the chair of glory. And not just the neshama is there, but that's even a low level of the neshama. The neshama, there's a lot of levels where the neshama comes from. There's even a high level, which is who neshama he b'chinas tahira. Like the neshama is pure, the level of the tahira, which is above the neshama as it is under the kisei hakavod. An even deeper level than the neshama, which is tahira, it's even higher than this tahira. Meaning like this, there's different levels of a person. And this is what we're saying with the neshama. There's different levels of the neshama. Just like us is love. The way we are, we interact with a little kid. There we are, we interact with adults. There we are at work. And there we are as a husband, or as a wife, and as a mother, and as a parent. For a woman especially. There's a woman as she's a mother. There's a woman as she is a daughter. As she's a wife. And so to the neshama. There's different levels of the neshama. And they're deeper and deeper. Because of the great descent of the neshama, b'frat lefi ma harabi maybe b'achim mitzarech, and specifically according to what the Frierdiker says, one of his sichos, shelif neirid as neshama l'matza, therefore the neshama coming down into this world, marim la es Gan Eden v'gehenim. Take the neshama and you say, look, this is Gan Eden, this is Gehenim, this is reality. You go into this world, you have to deal with this concept that's not reality. It's like, unfortunately, in this society, you see things, you're like, this is mad. I don't understand how people see this, and like. People say, what do you mean? That's reality. And you're like, what? I don't know what reality you're talking about, but it doesn't make any sense. That's what's happening. The neshama, he's up above, and you say to the neshama, listen, you're going to go down there, and you have to deal with all this crazy stuff. That's what you have to do. In order that the neshama should know what's in front of it, so then you say, and you have to go down to the physical world, you have to give highest, you have to make a body live and struggle through the mud, and hopefully you'll be successful, and it'll come out good, and you'll be successful. And this is what it means, against you will you live. The neshama doesn't want to do this. It's like, this is crazy, this is dangerous. In one of the sichos here, we learned this once. It's called every way is dangerous. This is a dangerous thing for the neshama. It's like, man, it's like danger going over there. I don't want to do that. So that's al-karchatachai. That's one level. One level, we don't want to go down to the physical world. You want to stay spiritual. We want to enjoy life the way we were enjoying it in seminary. But on the other hand, the even though there's such a great descent of the neshama having come down into this physical world, specifically through that descent, the neshama reaches a much higher level, which is greater than what it was before it came down. Like it's famously said, descent for an ascent. And this is sort of, sometimes I think of it as a little difficult. It's like a little, but this is the reality that life is not in Tishrei and life is not in seminary. That's a preparation. But the purpose of the neshama is to come down to this physical world. And you have to get married. You have to have kids. You have to deal with the crying kids at 4 a.m, and you have to deal with having to cook for everyone. And you don't have any time for yourself. You don't get a chance to learn, and you can't take care of yourself properly. But that's the Yerida, but that's for an Aliyah. So on one hand, the neshama doesn't want to come down. On the other hand, it's only through the neshama coming down. It's only through being in Cheshvan, and not having all the Yom Tovim, not having that easy connection with Hashem, which brings out the greatest and deepest levels. And that's sort of the reality of life. Like the title of the Shiur, that know that all growth happens outside your comfort zone. Tishrei is comfortable, it's fun, it's easy, it's good, it's geschmack. But if you want to grow, the Yerida, you have to have the Yerida. Yerida is the Tzarech Aliyah. They go out of the comfort zone, it's Yerida, it's uncomfortable. But it's the Tzarech Aliyah. That's the only way you grow. That's what we're saying here. Gimel. So these two ideas of al kach atachai, against you will you live, but Yerida is the Tzarech Aliyah. We can see this in the pasuk itself. And then I was going to talk about this pasuk on different levels of Kabbalah, but this level of this going from above to below. Let's see. Me'artzecha, so it says in the pasuk, go from your land. What does it mean, your land? And this is as the neshama is in the Ratan Elyon, in the desire, in the holy desire, Hashem's desire. Shezeh naila yosim Hashem b'chinas, but mavua b'Tanya Perek Beis shaneshama hi chachma ilah. In Perek Beis of Tanya, it says that the neshama comes from chachma ilah, from supernal wisdom. That's wisdom. But what we're saying here, in Ma'artzecha, he's talking about an even deeper level, which is the Ratzin. Shehu v'chachma echad. Hashem and his chachma one. Because Ratzin is even higher than chachma. So what we're saying here, and like we talked about before, there's different levels of the neshama, different levels of the person. So we're talking about when we say Lecha me'artzecha, going from your land, this is a very deep level that the neshama is found. The neshama up above in Shemayim by Hashem is talking about on a very deep level, even deeper than the level that we're talking about in Tanya. And what do we say? This is also how we see this in the later parakim of Tanya. In Parak Lamed Beis, which is about obviously so, what does it say? Shekulam asimais, they were all similar. We have one father. Shekulam asimais. Now when we say that we're all similar, that's mitzad b'chinas ratzin. That's mitzad our ratzin. That is the level of ratzin by Hashem, the desire. That's where we come from. That's where we're all similar. But av echel l'cholana is mitzad b'chinas chachma. So we see the Rebbe saying that even in Tanya, you see in chapter Lamed Beis these two levels: the Ratzin level of the neshama and the Chach level of the neshama. And just like within ourselves, Chachma is a lower level, then Ratzin is our desire. Now, logically, we can have ideas that it makes sense to do this or doesn't make sense to do this, but we have a Ratzin, we have a desire for something, and that's a much deeper level. And that desire pushes us through to do certain things that even though logically it doesn't make sense, we have a Ratzin for it. That's what we're saying, that there's a level of the neshama, which is a level of Ratzin, which is a much deeper level, and then there's a level of Chachma, which is also very high level, but it's not as deep as Ratzin. So that's the Ma'artzecha. Then we say, Lecha Ma'artzecha, what does it mean from your birthplace, from your father's house? It's Kafisha Neshama, B'Sphere is a Chachma Bina. This is as the Neshama is on the level of already Chachma Bina, which is different levels of the intellect. Later, he may av ve'im. Having been born, birth, comes from a father and a mother. Chachma he av, and Chachma is the father, Ubina is aim, and Bina is the mother. And Milad Zichum, your birthplace, the being born, is coming from Chachma and Bina. So Milad Zichum, Kifisha Neshama b'Chachma, the Milad Zichum, and where you were born is as Neshama is in Chachma, no Beis Avich, and your father's house is Kifisha Neshama b'Chinas Bina. So that's the third level, from Chachma and Bina. Ki Av, Kamim, his father, like we said, Zeh Chachma, it's Chachma. Aval, base of, but the father's house is base, Klila of Zeh Bina. So when we say Milad Zichum, when you're born from the Chachma Bina, base of Vich, from the house of your father is also the Bina aspect. So this is the Neshama coming down from Ratzain to Chachma Ilah, to a high level Chachma, to the Chachma, and come down to Bina. And this is the descent of the Neshama. That's what we're saying. Or another way of saying it, Milad Zichum, from your birthplace is Chachma Bina, Meldim, the Chachma Bina gives birth, the base of Vichat, your father's house. So they produce that this level of father's house is commercial Neshama B'chinas Malchus, as Neshama in Malchus. But ultimately what we're saying in simple is that the levels of the Neshama as it is in the beginning, and it comes down into this world. Lamatim Zen, even a lower level, Me'artzecha means, from your land, Milad Zichum, base of Vichat is Bina, Zav, and Nukva. It's the level of Bina, Zah, which is the emotions, the six emotions, and Nukva, which is like Malchus. But ultimately, in the same three ways, we're saying that it's the descent of the Neshama down into this physical world. Or in terms of worlds, Ma'artzecha is Neshama Kvishi Hil, Ma'ilim El Matzilus. Ma'artzecha is as Neshama is above Atzilus. Miladzecha, when it's the second level, which is Neshama Kvishi, Atzilus as Neshama is in Atzilus. Kisher Eshkol Neshama is Atzilus, but the souls of all Neshamas are in Atzilus. B'chlalus, Hatzilus, Me'arich, Me'ira, Chachma, Yud, Shemavaye, Beis Avicha, is the Neshama Kvishi B'Bria. So when we say a house of our father, is the level of the Neshama as it comes into Bria. Ba Me'ira, B'Sirus Abina, and that it shines in Bria. Or Malchus Hatzilus, Nasa Kes Bria. Vayilon Neshama. So this is the descent of the Neshama. And just to finish it off, is we say to the Neshama, Lech Lecha, Me'alzecha, Me'alzecha, Beis Avicha. Go out of your birthplace, your land, your birthplace, and your father's house. Whether it's basically we're saying in simple after all these explanations is you're going from above to below. Shetetze, Misheresh, Umekera, B'chol Madregas Anal. All these levels above, we just explained, we're saying going out of those levels, where do you go to? Ela Aretz Asher to the land that I will show you. Lis Labesh B'guf Agashmi, to enclose yourself in a physical body. And the Neshama is in Atzilus, is in higher than Atzilus, it's in Chachma, it's in Ratzah, and it's all these high levels that we're talking about. And we're saying the Neshama, leave all those good, nice places. The Neshama is a good person, it's a good student, learning in seminary, doing everything perfectly, and life is so good. And we're saying it's time to leave. You got to leave out of there. You got to go out of there, and we have to go to the physical body. You have to go into the physical world. And specifically leaving all these high levels and coming to the physical body, this low body that in comparison to the neshama is so different. Tagia haneshama la'aliyah la'ilashesed. The neshama will reach a greater height. And I think, I have to stop here, but I think the message is very clear. We have to remind ourselves that as much as life is sometimes more difficult and running away and having it easy is more enjoyable, for sure, for the neshama even, and we want to have a more spiritual life, and we're going to talk about this even level of spirituality. But we have to realize that being in the physical world and making breakfast for our kids and working and trying and struggling through life is where the neshama can reach the highest levels. And we shouldn't look down upon it, and we should realize the greatness that we have in the mundane. Mitzvah Hashem will be successful at it, and we'll continue tomorrow. Have a great day.